Hi guys! In today's video, I'll talk about culture. So, the meaning of culture, its characteristics, and functions. But first off, what is culture? So most of us, when we heard the word culture, so the thought or the idea that comes to our mind is more about the custom, tradition, norms, and it could be the ideas and symbols that govern human behavior and pattern. So let's check if our definition of culture is correct. Culture, identified with aesthetics or the fine arts such as dance, music, or drama. So its culture is more about art or something that we can see or touch, and refers to the sum of human beings. So culture is about the way how people deal life, the way we handle things, or our way of life. So there are some meanings from different writers, anthropologists, and sociologists. So the first one is that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, arts, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society, by Edward Taylor. So yeah, culture is not just about art. So it also includes knowledge, beliefs, and laws. So the next one is, if a culture exists only where there is communication, then the content of the culture can be ideas or symbol patterns. Culture is then an immaterial phenomenon only, a matter of thoughts and meanings and habits, and not of visible or touchable materials, things, or objects by Sutherland and Wood. So they have a different meaning. So for them, by culture is something that is more on ideas, something that we can touch. Yeah, they're not referring to the objects. Culture is not tangible, so it's more on behavior. Behavior, the way we think as a human being. Culture is inherited artifacts, implements, and consumer goods and social structure, by Malinowski. So these are called a culture objects. So which is tangible, we can see and also touch the culture, which is it could be example a pot, or it could be a house. The entire accumulation of artificial objects, conditions, tools, techniques, ideas, symbols, and behavior patterns peculiar to a group of people, possessing a certain consistency of its own and capable of transmission from one generation to another. Certain groups with a certain characteristic or qualities that is capable of passing it from one generation to another. Culture is the expression of our nature in our modes of living and our thinking, intercourse in literature, in religion, in recreation and enjoyment, by McCarver. Culture is a sum total of integrated learned behavior patterns which are characteristics of the member of the society and which are therefore not the result of biological inheritance, by E.A. Hubel. Culture is the complex whole that consists of everything we think and do and have as the member of society by birth, death. And culture Culture is the total content of the physiosocial, biosocial, and psychosocial universe man has produced and socially created mechanisms through which this social product operates, by Anderson and Parker. And so, culture as the handiwork of man and the medium through which he achieves his end, by Malinowski. Culture is a sum total of human achievements, material as well as non-material, capable of transmission, by H.T. Mazumada. So, we have never been wrong. So, because culture is something that exists or emerges in a particular group or in a society. It could be the knowledge, the behavior, the custom, tradition, norms, and etc. And now we're going to talk about the characteristics. So the first characteristic is learned behavior. Not all behavior is learned, but most of it is learned. We develop our behavior accordingly what's a widespread in the society. Like what we see in our neighbor is we learn from it, we use it as a guide to handle things, to deal with things. Number 2, culture is abstract. Culture exists in the minds or habits of the member of society. So, culture is the shared way of doing and thinking of people. So, it is more on ideas, it is more on our knowledge, so our way and habits. Number 3, culture is a pattern of learned behavior. So, the definition of culture indicated that the learned behavior of people is patterned. So, each person's behavior often depends upon some particular behavior of someone else. So, it says that our behavior, some of it, we get it from other people. And other people, they get their behavior from, it could be from you, from other people within society. Number 4, culture is the product of behavior. Culture learnings are the products of behavior. It is the process in which other people or we tend to pass information to other people. We or they can learn the culture. So through it influences us and learn the culture of the society. Number 5, culture includes attitudes, values, knowledge. There is a widespread error in the thinking of many people who tend to regard the ideas, attitudes, and notions which they have as their own. But the truth is, we get those from society's standard norms, which it influences us as a human being. Number 6, culture also includes material objects. Man's behavior results in creating objects. So this is the cultural objects, the arts. Example could be the houses, the implements, the artifacts, or the things that we can touch, we can see. Number 7, culture is shared by the members of society. The patterns of learned behavior and the result of behavior are possessed not by one or a few persons, but usually a large proportion. So the widespread of it could be a way of life, the arts, the traditions. We have to adapt it. We have to equip it. We have to have it, to learn it as our own, because we belong in that society and we tend to follow it because we don't want to be an alien. Number 8, culture is supergonic. it implies that culture is somehow superior to nature. So because culture, it lives and functions, even though its human members come and go, are born or die. So that makes it superior than nature. Number 9, culture is pervasive. Culture is pervasive. It touches every aspect of life. So even though you don't like that characteristics which is widespread in the community or in the society or the people around you, but you don't have a choice but to get it, to have it, to learn it, because it proves that you belong in that particular group. Number 10, culture is a way of life. Culture means simply the way of life of people or their design for living. Yes, culture is the way of life, the way we handle things, the way we do things in life. Number 11, culture is a human product. Culture is not a force operating by itself and independent of human actors. So culture is made by human. Culture does not exist itself. So without us, culture doesn't exist at all. Number 12, culture is idealistic. Culture embodies the ideas and norms of a group. Culture consists of norms, values, and ethics that people within a group actually followed it in reality. Number 13, culture is transmitted among members of society. The culture ways are learned by person from persons. We get to learn culture from the process of socialization from other people within the community, within a geographic area. Number 14, culture is continually changing. So there is one fundamental and inescapable attribute of culture, the fact of unending change. We all know that in this planet, this blue marble planet called Earth, everything is temporary, and the only constant thing is changing, and a culture evolve through time. Culture change time to time. Number 15, culture is variable. Culture varies from society to society and group to group. Culture is variable because there are differences in behavior, outlook between people from different societies, like body language, style of humor, and attitudes towards family, authority figures, religion, and gender rules can all be very different in different cultures. 16. Culture is an integrated system. Culture possesses an order and system. So if there's changes in a particular aspect of culture, then the other parts may change as well. And the people is owed to adopt it and learn. And the last one, number 17, language is a vehicle of culture. Language is one of the most important vehicles for perpetuating cultural patterns. So yes, through the process of socialization, we get to influence or to know the culture in the society, and through it we were able to pass the culture to one generation to another. And now we're in the functions of culture. First, culture defines situations. Each culture has many subtle cues which define each situation. It provides us to know if the situation is kind of dangerous, or it could be when to fight
or if someone is mad at you, or if someone is greeting at you. So yeah, it helps us to define the situation with a certain gesture, I think, and action. Second, culture defines attitudes, values, and goals. So attitudes are tendencies to feel and act in a certain way in a certain situation, and values are measures of goodness or desirability. So what we want, that we think what is good, what is valuable, what is important to us. And goals are those attainment which our values define as worthy. The third one is culture defines myths, legends, and the supernatural. So myths and legends are an important part of every culture. They may inspire, reinforce effort and sacrifice, and bring comfort in bereavement. To know the myths and legends in a particular society, and to understand the people around you, to understand their behavior and why they're acting like that, and to connect them spiritually. And the last one is culture provides behavior patterns. The individual need not to go through painful trial and error, learning to know what foods can be eaten or how to live among people without fear. So there is already a set of behavior pattern. So all we need to do is to follow it, to learn it, and bear that in our mind. A society without a norm or standard, it would be chaotic. People would have different paths, different standards, different ways of life and beliefs, that which leads us to a messy and would create dispute between peoples. Culture and society. A society is organized group of individuals. A culture is organized group of learned responses. The individual is a living organism capable of independent thought, feeling, and action, but with his independence limited and all his resources profoundly modified by contact with the society and culture in which he develops. By Ralph Linton. Yeah, like I said, culture does not exist itself, and a society without culture would be a chaotic one and messy. So culture and society goes together so that humans could develop to their full potential and to be called a highly cultured person.